Hey guys, in this lesson, we're gonna go over actually how to take the popcorn off the ceiling, okay? So right here, we're already in a covered up room, okay? There's not a finished floor, but I am using that painter's drop cloth. We've got our tape that's covering our walls. We've and our plastic on the walls, so we are covered up and ready to go. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your water pump, go ahead, fill it up with water, pump it, and we are just gonna go ahead and spray our ceiling. All right, I'm gonna get it not soaking wet. That's a little too open. You want it to just mist your ceiling, okay? You're just slightly getting your popcorn ceiling wet. All right, I'm running right into that. I'm not gonna soak the wall with it. We're just gonna get it right on that edge there. We're gonna go ahead, get a bit of water on there. All right, and you have two people. This is awesome. You have one person spraying their ceiling and the other person coming behind and scraping. If not, spray a small section, let it sit. All right, now that we've sprayed our ceiling, we're gonna go ahead and just take out a 10-inch blade, and we're gonna jump up there and we allow it to sit. And you can see here, this is why we use these drop cloths too, is because all that water that we're spraying on the ceiling falls on the floor, and this plastic drop cloth is gonna catch that. And this popcorn's wet too, so we're gonna go ahead and get in there, and you're just gonna go ahead and push and start scraping, okay? This is also another spot where you could use a mask. There's a little bit of dust. The water actually helps keep a lot of the dust down, but here we are, we're just scraping away. And go ahead, the smoother you get your surface here, the better it's gonna be for finishing. If you have a painted popcorn ceiling, you might actually find that scraping the painted popcorn first and then spraying it with water is going to work a whole lot better than just spraying it with water. You spray it with water and you're going to find it doesn't come off as easy as this. Guys, you can also dry scrape it. It's going to be a lot more dusty and it may not come off as nice, but here's a dry spot. I mean, you can see that it comes off pretty well as well, but maybe not quite as great as when you're spraying it with water. So that's a lot of times we spray it with water just to help it come off a little bit better. And yeah, and then you're just gonna go to town. And honestly, this is pretty fun. If you've never done it, it's very soothing just to watch all that popcorn that you're sick and tired of looking at come off the wall. And here you go. When you run it to the quarter, I want you to be really careful. You have tape in the corners of your ceiling likely. And if you really push your blade or gouge it in there, you can actually ruin that tape. There's just a small layer of mud on top of that. So really be careful when you come into your corners. Just work it in really slow. See, like right there. I actually already caught the tape, so I'm going to tear that off. That one didn't rip all the way, so we're not going to worry about patching it. Just kick it in there really softly, okay? And there you go. Go ahead and we're going to scrape all of your ceiling, and then we're going to see you guys in the next lesson. One more thing to note is that when you're scraping with your drywall knife, be careful to keep the edges flat as possible so you're not scraping or gouging your ceiling, because those will be things you're going to have to patch. And as I've said, besides the wet scrape and the dry scrape, here is your other option, and is power sanding. And when you're using a power sander, you want to constantly keep movement on it so you're not going to burn a circle into your ceiling. And we put a 60 grit on it and connect it to the shop vac for dust. And you can see it takes that popcorn off great. But I will put just one warning on this, guys. If you don't have a lot of upper body strength, this is going to be extremely difficult, okay? We have got guys who cannot run this thing. It does take a bit of upper body strength in order to run it. So they're about $120, not crazy expensive. I'll put some links below and what kind of product we use for this. But if you have a lot of ceilings and you want to try to get it super, super smooth for a flat, or even a texture, this thing does a great job. So that light behind me as well, guys, we are going to be dropping that and covering that. That's one thing we forgot to cover before we shot this. So be sure, if you have any light fixtures, to go ahead and drop them and wrap them with plastic and make sure they're covered so you don't get any mud or paint on those as well. Okay, guys, go ahead and get all of your ceilings scraped, and I'll see you in the next lesson.